Hi, welcome to the Jenn Hayward Show. My name is Jenn Hayward. I don't know how to do that thing. My name is Jenn Hayward, and tonight we have a really special guest who will be out later, Karla Briones. She is the owner of Global Pet Foods, Westboro Freshii, and also karlabriones.com. We'll talk more about her. And today our theme is pivoting. So I have three methods in which people are watching this. So one is YouTube, which no one actually goes there. One is the Facebook, The Jenn Hayward Show. And the other one is Facebook, just my personal page. I always do a preamble that my personal page, you cannot put comments and I see them. It goes to something else. So I'm trying to get everyone to go over to thejennhaywardshow.com, drop a comment, make this more interactive. But until we actually get more traction, watch from wherever you are. But just know that I can't talk to you from where you are unless you are on the Jenn Hayward Show Facebook or the Jenn Hayward Show YouTube. Well, I hope everyone is good. If anyone's out there on the proper channel, which I can see they aren't, to say howdy on the proper ways, and we can get some interaction. So Karla will be here shortly, I hope. And until then, I'm going to talk. So today our theme is pivoting. Now, I will say that I think this is a word that has been overused extensively during COVID, but it's a needed word because that's what people have had to do, is that whether it's a personal pivot or a business pivot, it's there. Pivot is basically when you're you're not fully having feet on the ground, you're having to change positions, and you have to do it so quickly that is essentially you're on the heel of your foot and you move fast. And so before Karla gets here, or while I'm killing time until she's here, please drop a comment again if you're on the Jenn Hayward Show, which I see most of you are on my personal page. So if you go to the Jenn Hayward Show on Facebook, you'll get to talk to me. So I'm going to keep nagging you to do that. But because I see some of you are leaving comments on Facebook, but I cannot respond. Anyway, so pivoting is the name of the game, and it's what we're talking about. This has been a long year, and the more people I talk to, the more I hear are tired of pivoting. Oh, Karla is in the green room, and I'll bring her out in about 5 minutes. So because Karla and I are going to talk about pivoting in the business sense, and that what we've had to do, business and family and that sort of thing, and I could talk about our story and go for it and how we were the ultimate pivot 4 years ago, but I'm not going to. I'm going to actually talk about something deeply serious in a hopefully embarrassing way to everyone else. So years ago, I could not even count the years. I had a plan. We all had a plan. You get married, you're going to do things, get a job, whatever. And I was like, hey, let's get pregnant. And so my husband and I tried that, by having sex. And we tried it. We made many attempts. And after a year, did some tests, find out I cannot get pregnant with him. Basically, to sum it up, is I have eggs that are very, what would you call, they're bitches. Basically, they're cold. They don't want men near them. They're like, go away. So they make it really hard to get. His little spermies, they're like kind of dumb. And they will just hump anything. They get in there and they're like white blood cell, red blood cell, whatever. So it just wasn't going to happen. But we said, well, our plan was to have a baby naturally or vaginally or whatever. And so we saw a specialist, and he decided that, okay, this is the math. And so we did something called not artificial insemination, but yes, that's the one, not the one where they take things out of me. It's basically to gross everyone out who's watching. This is like we're going to talk about food from Freshii after. Hey, drop a line if you're there. But basically they have to take the little spermies from the man, and then the doctor takes the spermies and he cleans it because it's really dirty. I don't know what he does, but he cleans it up and then he puts it in the woman, and then you see what happens. And hi, Christina. So I remember that moment so clearly where we decided to pivot as I was lying in the hospital with my feet up, and I'm watching that moment where like the pregnancy could occur, where my husband's in a chair next to me reading a book. And I was like, nah, this isn't for us. Also, I have a kind of personality that if you throw a whole bunch of hormones in me, it's not going to work. So we pivoted. And that was the ultimate pivot for us, is we said, you know what, this was our plan. This is we're going to do this. But we could have gone further. We could have pushed against the wall. I could have gone to, and probably our marriage wouldn't have lasted, to be honest. And so we adopted and fostered and lots of other crazy things. So that's an example of just how life doesn't always work out the way you want. But it's like the Rolling Stones say, sometimes you don't get what you want, but you get what you need. And so that's really what pivoting is about. It's hustling to do what's good for you, because sometimes life throws stuff at you. So everyone collectively had things thrown at them at the same time, at the same year, and that's what we're going to talk to you about. So I'm going to bring Karla on. So for those who are watching, which honestly is not as many as I would have thought at this point, but that's okay. Like it, share it, and here comes Miss Karla. So I'd say give her a round of applause.
Hi.
We're so lucky, by the way, to have Karla here today. I'm going to see if you like it this way or this, or no. I like it this way.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Karla, I've been watching your Facebook. It's been a week, is what I'm hearing. It's a safe place to swear here. I'm going to say Christina says hello.
Hello, Christina.
I learned how to do stuff. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your week. We'll get into you that you're comfortable sharing, but it hasn't been a good week. But I think you're a good spokesperson for fuck this, right? Like, just like, is the end coming? So
yeah, no, it's been a tough week. I mean, like many other moms out there, and mom entrepreneurs, or mom professional moms, but moms in general right now in Ottawa. It's been a shit show, because it's like I feel like I'm half-assing everything. Like I'm half-assing on the business side, and I'm half-assing on the parenting side, and I'm half-assing on the daughter side, and I'm half-assing on the wife side. So it's been, like, and like trying to keep up with the schoolwork, and then both my kids had different schedules and different breaks and different everything. So and they're 8 and 12, so they're still, I mean, they're not like completely self-sufficient, damn it.
Yeah. No, 8 and 12 is a different, like, because they're at that, well, they need you, and you have to, the attention. I didn't know how bad it was for people with school-age children until I met with my friend who just showed up here, and I shouldn't even say that, but like during COVID, during the whole thing, was like literally when they announced that this was when they first announced this lockdown and said the kids can't come to school. It was 2 weeks into what she was doing. And she just said, I'm out. And she just drove and drove. So she called. I said, you know what? We just all had COVID tests. Come on over. And it was when she told me, like, all the work that they have to do, like literally, that the kids now have more computer literacy than I do, and all these things, and the things that they're expecting. And so there's good teachers and teachers who are challenged themselves with all this. And on top of all that, like just having to do physical education at home in front of a camera and to provide proof to the teacher that this is going on. I was like, wow.
It's ridiculous. And then trying to figure out, okay, you guys need to go outside, just like get some fresh air. And like my 12-year-old almost going on to 13 is like not really, like takes a little bit more effort to get them out there. And then my other daughter, she's like very like she's still like very mommy, and it's like, oh my God. And then I have meetings, and it's been definitely a challenging week. I've had a beer already. I had my nachos and chicken wings that I ordered, and
I saw you were going to do that. I'm happy you did. I'm so happy you did.
Yeah.
I'm on a sabbatical from drinking. It's not court-ordered, but it's certainly the family had a meeting and said, and as much as I joke, I'm hearing that from so many female entrepreneurs that because like when we're turning, for me, unfortunately, with the gastric bypass, I just become a slobbery person. So I can only drink if I'm calm, but if I have underlying, or I'll have my edibles, which totally calm me out. And I did an interview thinking there was time, but because I'm on this keto, it's fast speeding my metabolism up. And so literally halfway through the interview, I said, what were we talking about? And he doesn't do edibles, so we had no clue, but my husband's in the background laughing his ass off. But yeah, it's insane. And you have, 3 businesses essentially that you're running. You have great staff at them, thank goodness. And you work with your husband on one, but you are also not in charge, but you're a coach who's not even a coach. I would say you're more than that. You're a lifeline for many immigrant entrepreneurs, because not only are they being infected by the exact same way we all are, but they're doing it some in a new country with new things. And some of these laws may seem so weird because they seem weird to us, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I just launched so I do immigrant entrepreneurship coaching. I also do like just regular like Canadian born entrepreneurs through Invest Ottawa and others, but I launched a program where I have a cohort of, right now they're 13, so 13 immigrant entrepreneurs from all over Canada. It's pretty cool. And we had a really cool meeting at the beginning yesterday, and the person that's been here the shortest amount of time, he arrived into Canada 10 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Welcome to Canada. Stay at home.
Exactly. So he was saying how, and one of the things that I talk about in my course is the roller coaster of being an immigrant, because it's a roller coaster, and it's a very similar roller coaster from being an entrepreneur, because you've got like, you go through like the high, I'm on top of the world, and then like, holy shit, what the hell did I do? And oh my God, like I want to go back to my country, or want to go back to doing what I was doing. And they said, like, or at least this particular person is like, you nailed it. Like, that's exactly what we're feeling right now, particularly, and it's exacerbated by COVID. And like, they have no way to network, to meet other people, to grow their professional network so they can get a job. So it's kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. So at least it's nice to be able to have a little community that they can support each other, and then we can give each other ideas, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's the stuff that I wish I would have had when I came to Canada. So
I think that's good. I mean, I wouldn't be, or you're in a unique position where you have both experiences and are able to help out. But I think it's also with everything you're doing and all the stresses, because you're in one of the most affected industries, the restaurant industry. And I remember you posted one day, I guess I do groceries now. Like, it was like, so that was one of your first pivots that I saw. I was like, oh, they're doing grocery boxes, which makes sense because you have fresh items. And
because I have a pretty healthy supply chain. So it's like, okay, so I went to the restaurant like in the middle of the pandemic at the very beginning, and it's like, what can I sell? It's like, okay, I've got lots of veggies. There. I got lots of veggies. I got lots of groceries. So I'm doing grocery boxes, baby.
Well, it's the first step, because it's not like you don't pay your rent. Like you can, you still have rent. It's they had rent relief, but it's not like Oh no, because you had to be. It's very narrow definitions, right?
Well, we had to drop by 70%, and my sales only went down by 16%. So I
know. Qualify. Well, that's because you were, and that's such a penalty that, oh, hey, you pivoted so that you didn't die completely, but we're not going to help you. And I think because policymakers weren't ready, and what annoys me about everything, because I'm not into the conspiracies or anything like that. But what annoys me, I worked in the government for corrections, and we absolutely had health pandemic planning. So governments have had,
No
and
way.
oh yeah, well, because particularly in the prison, you had to, it was during SARS, and you had to be ready for all of it. And so because we've gone through this, I find it very hard to believe that this hasn't come up in every single sector. But because government also has changeovers, and they have government changeovers, and it's just highly unfortunate because so many of these like problems are bureaucratic, which is unnecessary because every bureaucrat has still been working since this is, so, and I know some are working so hard. I have nothing against my bureaucratic, friends, but it's not the same. And I mean, the working from home is the same. The homeschooling is the same, and balancing all of that. But there is no way putting everything on the line and the government saying you're not allowed to work is the same. I think that is the main difference right now between entrepreneur. And I said the same thing though the other day to someone, is that, on the other hand, we have the potential to make that much more money being an entrepreneur. We take the risk, but it's like the freedom of the market and the opportunity is gone. And I think that's where people are really rallying. And what I like about you is you rally against, because it isn't fair. It's the equity. It's not whether it's fair to be shut down or not. It's who can be shut down when. And sometimes they're just getting arbitrary. I posted earlier, a theater live stream is not allowed, but movie theater, like making movie for Netflix is. Like, what? That's arbitrary. It's insane. And so, Angelina, I'm going to put this. She says, Karla, you are my hero.
Oh, Angelina, I sent you a message.
She's so great. I love it. She says, Jenn, you are my hero too. Yeah, suck it up. She's so great. She's so great. Well, Angelina, share this on your network. Have some more folks come by on the Jenn Hayward Show. I keep telling people who are watching on, because I always go at the end and there's a whole bunch of comments on my personal page, but I haven't got enough of a following yet on my professional page because I didn't do this for so long. Anyway, speaking of pivoting, so then you had the second lockdown. So you guys had you had 3 shutdowns, right? Restaurants. That's why I said they're so affected. So you had the first one, and you got by at the skin, and then things are going well. You guys are doing well. There's rarely, like, I heard of nothing.
I mean, well, it's I'm gonna so I've got the retail, so the pet food retailers, those we actually everybody got dogs in the pandemic. Everybody got animals. So the pet industry has this ability to be very recession proof. We actually opened the businesses in the middle of a pandemic in 2008. So, and we were thriving, and then this pandemic hit, and it proved to be also very fairly recession proof. Okay. We grew in Canada. We did lose like 5 points in Hindenburg, but I mean, overall, that's nothing. So
yeah, everyone already had dogs in Hindenburg.
Exactly. So it did. So the pandemic and the lockdowns and all that did affected morale more than it affected sales. And the morale, because people, if you're watching this and you are one of those angry people that get your frustrations out on the frontline staff, that's not cool. And that's basically what my staff in the retail location is experiencing. Even right now, we can't open our doors. We can only do curbside pickup. Yeah. But people are like pounding at the doors and like swearing at the staff and saying, why aren't you opening the doors? We need to buy this and that. Like, and it's such a challenging situation for our staff, because basically the government has cut our ability to provide the customer service that we know how to give. And then all of a sudden our customers are used to that customer service. And then when they come to our stores and our doors are shut because we're mandated by the government. Yeah. And it's like, it doesn't compute to them, right? Like, why are you treating us like this? It's like, it's not us. Trust me. Like, we want to serve you. We want to do all of this, but yeah, like the level of abuse, I can't call it any other way, but the level of abuse that my staff has experienced in both lockdowns, it's just astonishing, and it brings morale down. And we try to be, like Sean and I try to be very encouraging to our staff and try to like thank them and all of that. But it like it does wear on you. So that's
I'd
where
imagine. Yeah.
that's where it's been affecting the retail. So not so much on the sales, but on the morale of the staff and our inability to provide the customer service that we know we can give and that we love and pride ourselves for giving. So that's the one.
That's it. You have good staff. I remember I did one of your parties. You're a very good owner. You build that work culture because I mean it's okay. I own a store. Anyone can open, not anyone, but you can open a store. But it's what you do with that. And I know your staff are dedicated and all those things. I mean, we become like mama bears, hey, with our staff because when you treat them good and you've got this culture. I remember, and I mean I had the opposite problem as everyone else, is that our workload tripled, often with people who can't pay though, because their business is shut down. But our workload, our staff went down. And so we were working 20-hour days during March, April, May. And it was tough. And I remember when chocolate bombs first became the thing. And it was someone ordered a chocolate bomb. And it's never to this day sunk in how, okay, we're essential because we can deliver a chocolate bomb, but you can't go pick up a chocolate bomb. Chocolate bomb should never be considered something that is utterly essential, right? But it makes no sense to me, right? But that's the rules. And someone, a recipient, they wanted it within a certain time and we were beyond. And so we work with the merchant directly and we're like, we're doing what we can. We are slammed to the, just to the tits, so to speak. And they were understanding, but their person yelled. And so their person called us. I'm rarely the one who answers the phone anymore, but I answered the phone and I said, hey, hang on. So you're upset that you're not getting your chocolate bomb exactly when you want in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Like I said, is that the issue here? And I never lose it like that. But I was like, and when I put it like that, they were like, and then they yelled at the staff. And so unfortunately, again, they're third party, right? So we work more directly with the merchants, but so we don't see it as much because I've never had a business owner during, we don't make a lot of mistakes, but if we do, we pay for it, we fix it, let's do what we can, right? That's our model, that's your model, that's any good business person's model. But when you're dealing with the customer, because they're dealing with all of their rage and everything, and maybe to that person, that chocolate bomb was like a mental health link. I also get that too.
Yes. And it's been this week. Oh my God, the amount of complaints, the amount of like texts in the middle of the night from staff that are like stressed out of their minds because they had a situation with a customer. Like the reviews that we've been getting, and it's not for the lack of providing good customer service, it's just because their customers are not getting that instant gratification that they're used to, and because they're already stressed. Like they're basically bringing in their mental health issues and their stress and their frustrations when we're not allowed to like hand them the machine. They have to tap it, and then if the tap doesn't work, it's like, oh my God, okay, well, and our staff gets like, they want to help them, but you get blocked when you all of a sudden you start people start yelling at you, and then all of a sudden it's like, what?
And it shouldn't be a war zone to buy dog food. Do you know, like it's, and I think like if that's one of the lessons from the customer side is that for everyone who's stressed, get it, but these people are also 10 times more stressed, right? You're still going to get your dog food. You're still going to get it. It may not be the exact way you want, but they're manifesting all the other frustrations because they have nowhere besides Facebook groups, I guess, to about these things. But it's not, I mean, that's why we have a model of working with the consumers, is because we want to help mass entrepreneurs help their customers. But I just know my level of customer service one-to-one with people on the ground who are ordering stuff wouldn't be great. I wouldn't be a good frontline restaurant worker. I'd be like, all right, we're doing what we can, like I'd be like, you'll get it when you get it. Like, I've never freaked out when something's late coming for me for food or something. I'm like, I don't know, it'll get here, because I'm not that emotionally attached to that milkshake, right? So I actually posted something earlier, and I want to talk to you about, speaking of pivoting. It was an article that came out from the Globe and Mail, which we all know, one of the things, the pandemic, it's really brought to light the issues with Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, things of that nature. Oh, I could just see that, right? And so can you first, hi, Barb, I'm going to put her up there. We love her. Hey, Barb, give us a share and a like, and off you go. Look at me like, oh, give us a share. I know. I'm
Comments
just like,
down below.
anytime I talk about anything that is not logistics, I'm happy about. But okay, can you give an overview from a restaurant owner? Like, we've all read about it, and then I want to give an overview from the delivery point of view, and then we're going to actually point the blame where it belongs. Okay, so you go first.
About just
Uber Eats skip. Just give an overview of why it's predatory and the effect it's had on your business.
Yeah, so it is predatory. I mean, it is a love-hate relationship as always because my kid's bringing me a churro.
Oh, I'm doing keto, so I kind of hate you right now. Oh my God. Wine beside that. I'm just going to jump. No, you shouldn't say that nowadays but yeah, so.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's a love-hate relationship, but we kind of need someone because our orders come so inconsistent that it doesn't merit hiring a full-time driver or anything. So they have filled a problem. However, they take anywhere between, depending on the app, 25 to 30% of our top line. I'm a franchisee. As a franchisee, I pay full royalties on my top line sales, not on my, minus my fees from.
Yeah.
So they're
net gross.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then not only that, but everybody's like, well, why don't you just increase your prices by 30%? These third parties limit the restaurants on how much they can actually inflate their prices.
I remember you telling me that. That's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. So they take a look at your regular menu, and then skip the dishes is the worst. You can only inflate your prices, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, by 10%. I can't remember, but they take 25%. Okay. So, and then Uber Eats, you can only inflate your prices by I think a max of 20%. So at the end of the day, after everything, usually Uber Eats tends to be the least of the evils. Okay. But they're all the same. I mean, they're all the same. Just so you get an idea, as a restaurant owner, right now, my sales are shit. Like my weekly sales, like I was just doing some accounting today, and my weekly sales for my restaurant in Westboro, in like a main corner next door to Lululemon, like I'm supposed to be in like the place to be, right?
Yeah. When there's people allowed outside.
My weekly sales are the equivalent of a regular summer day, one day, and that's for the entire week. And it's like I'm looking, and my rent is like 4 times that, right? So
they didn't give you any discounts on rent.
Oh God, no! Fuck no! I mean, no, like they didn't, and they're asking for the rent. Like it's like the 5th of the month, and if I haven't given it, like they send their little reminder.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. So it is definitely tough. It's definitely tough to make the numbers work. It is definitely tough to make everything balance, and sometimes it doesn't balance. And right now I'm at the point where it's like, is it worth it? But I'm not one to give up. But at the end of the day, is it worth it? Because it's non-sustainable. It's like, honestly, like it's like January and February are regularly shitty months for the restaurant industry. Like throw in a lockdown and it's suicide. Like it's
and I can't see how it's going to get better when they're not allowed to open, because even when people were open, sales were down, right? Like, so
well, I'm open, but I can only do takeout, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, so for sitting in, so I remember sitting in, I went to a chain when it was open, restaurant, and or franchise or whatever. And so I was sitting eating because it was before a comedy show, and it was in the middle of the pandemic, but we were allowed to do this. So I'm like, anything to get out of the house, I'll do it. And I just remember no one else is in the restaurant except for the Uber Eats guys taking out. So I have a theory though, on all of this from the Uber Eats, skip the dishes, from all those, and I wrote about it in a scathing manner. But I said with them, and even with Amazon, which is our nemesis, is in the end, this is all dictated by the consumers.
Exactly.
And I said, because we like free and we like now. And I said, if we valued delivery as like what I do as an actual service that was worth, because gas, wear and tear on car, good customer service, not just because some guy's smoking, here's your food. Like, it takes all that, because we don't have that sustainable model that they did back in the day, unless you have 100 pizzas going out, right? And so because people don't want to pay, and even some of the apps, God bless you, who are trying to beat skip the dishes and all that by being fair. And they said, no, we're paying an hourly wage to our driver. And when I found out what that was, I was still like, because it's exploitative to the drivers. And so nobody actually wins except for these apps. But in the end, it's still, and I say this, we the consumer, because I know it's wrong, but there are times that I've gotten high at night and ordered maybe a milkshake. Like, it's happened, right? And I know, but I don't feel as bad, and I should, but I don't feel as bad burning McDonald's than I do other people. And that is bringing me to my next topic, that something else I've learned from you that I wanted. So I think we should share this in the lessons learned, because you're a franchise owner. And some people think franchise people are not local, or they're not, because one, we don't always know from the consumer, like, is McDonald's franchises, or are they chains? Is a Mac store, and so we don't always know, like, what is like, who's really affected, who's in control. Like in a grocery store, we know Weston is in control, that it's big business. But so can you shed some light on how the franchising system works? And do you get extra support during this time, or is it like you're everyone for themselves? So
no, it's actually really interesting. So long as it's I'm gonna rant here. So long as it benefits the franchisor, they're all for you. They're like supporting you.
Yeah.
The moment you want to do something completely like out of the ordinary, they're like, no. So for me, it was even with Global Pet Foods when I started, because it is a franchise, Global Pet Foods.
Yeah.
It was very important for me from the beginning because it was a franchise, to let my community know who was behind the franchise. Yeah. Because I said, if I want the community to support me, they need to support, and if I want them to get on board of supporting local, they need to see the family behind the business. But not a lot of franchises or franchisees do that. They just hide behind the brand, and they let corporate do all of the marketing, and they just like little robots. And I decided, if I want to do something different, I need to let the community know who's behind this. Because I want to establish community, like the relationships with the food banks and the pet or the animal shelters. And I want them to not think that it's also, it was selfish of me, because I'm like, I don't want them to think that it's all globals, that all the globals are doing this donation. No, I want to take the fucking credit, because I'm the one building in the building in the community. I'm the one doing the work, and I want to stand out, and I want my shops to stand out. So, but
you need to, because we had that where I thought yours was the Bell's Corners ones. It's when I first, the Canada one, right? And there's not anything wrong with the Bell's Corners, but if you want to support, it's really easy. Go for it deliveries. Okay, there's one in Ottawa. There's a Gopher, because whatever, but it's not the same. People know the story behind it. So you've done an excellent job. And it's, and that's where, someone said, you've done some work for Freshii. Well, no, I've done some work for Karla. I've done some work for, for Sean, like for whoever, because my customers aren't their business. It's who they are. Even my bigger customers, I've always been like, frankly, I'll get on the phone with them while they're crying, because they work in a horrible work environment, because they're the people, right? And so but it's important, I think, for people to know, because when we think local, we all think the mom and pa. But I'll be realistic. You guys had to invest a lot of money to do a franchise. I looked at it, pretending one day I'll have money, and I was like, I can't do that, right? Yeah. I'd probably be a good franchise owner, except for now we know I'm not good with the general public. So, I've been a comedian too long as well, that, I'm like, well, I'll just roast you and that'll be fine. But not everyone has a sense of humor about their faults, right?
Yeah, and it's really funny because the general public said, well, you're part of a franchise, the franchisor is taking care of you. No, they're not. So we're still liable for our franchise fees, which, if you knew how much it is, it's exorbitant. Okay. So we're still liable to everything. Like we still have to pay our fees regardless of the pandemic. They're not condoning anything. So on top of our rent, on top of paying our staff, on top of our utilities, a big chunk of our sales, top of the line sales, a big chunk of that percentage of that money is going, to the franchisor. And it's interesting because there's a lot of government programs that started at the beginning of the pandemic, where there were grants and there were support for small businesses and whatnot. But if you were a franchisee, you wouldn't qualify for them. And I'm like, why?
Well, I heard about that. Even there was a local delivery that would only, if you're a franchise, you couldn't do it either.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the local delivery. Yeah, I know. I was like,
what? Well, and again, it's that, because I know some of the most generous people I know are you, Perrette Raymond. My brain is deceiving me, but there's other ones who are definitely their friend, Nicole Natevny, and the people who've chosen the friend. It's just a different way of entrepreneurship, and they give back so much to the community as people. And then, but it's just understanding that it's a different way. And sometimes, and right now, if I had to pay fees to someone above me besides CRA, which I should probably do that too. Shush. CRA lessons learned is
that's another show.
Because, remember, we started our business the way a lot of people are starting theirs now is that, I got to do what I can do. And like you said, what can I sell? One of the best pivot stories, like I said, there are some businesses that may not survive this. And I think that's a sad reality that people have to start looking, right? Mm-hmm. Part of me was like, I ended up in the opposite business that if not for COVID, we would have been bankrupt before. And people who know my story know that was going to be happening. And it's like a weird thing. And so we took that to heart. It still was really hard when we lost one of our big clients. Yeah, the CRA, don't remind me, Angelina says, no, they exist. They're probably watching this. No, they don't watch the show. But so anyway, when all this happened, I said, okay, I want to give back as much as we can. I want to help as many. And I got burned by so many businesses. And we know that because at that time, our staff load went down to nothing. Like as soon as people realized they could get served, everyone had a sick note. And there's nothing I could do. And that's when I think I switched to a real entrepreneur because I'm a socialist at heart. Criminal justice is my background. I'm Indigenous, all these things. But now I can see things I'm someone who grew, who was on welfare. And then now I'm someone who's seeing, but is this really, and I can see people. We had someone who literally scammed the system, and once I said, now I have to be a bad, and I'm not cool Jen anymore. I'm a real CEO, and I have to help people. And we knew, that some of the people we helped were going under. Anyway, so my point is, some businesses, I always feel I have to defend that we're not in as bad. It's a weird thing, it's a women guilt thing. It drives me crazy. Just apologize for having good weeks. It's crazy. So anyway, but some businesses like if I owned a party tent rental business, I would be right now going, holy crap, what do I do? And I use that example because that's exactly what one did. And I don't have the exact business, but someone who did that, they did party rentals, inflatable things mostly. Clearly, no one's going to, even if they weren't closed down, no one's renting bouncy castles for kids. It's hard. No one's doing it. If you want to, go ahead. But they're not, but they looked around and said, hey, well, we have a cotton candy maker, so let's start selling cotton candy.
Oh, I did read about that one.
Yeah, I think it's Ottawa Cotton Candy, but
they have different flavors and all that.
Yeah, so of course,
I love that story. Yes.
Yeah, and so it's literally look around at what you have, and like that's what we did when we started our business. So we started like that too, but we had no business training, and we're like, well, we have a car.
I don't think any entrepreneur has any business training.
True.
It's funny because I'm talking to these two doulas who want to open a really cool business, and they're like, "Oh, but we don't have any business training." And it's like, honey,
you'll learn.
Like we didn't. Nobody, like most entrepreneurs, did not have business training. You learn on the go. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's you do. And sometimes you see, people who advance, and that's where, I had this view, especially when I was younger and poor, entrepreneurs, money. And I was like, I also
evil.
Someone who has a company that generates this much revenue, greedy and all the rest. And now I'm like, Oh, no. In fact, I'm looking back to my university days when I was poor, when I was on welfare, and I'll tell you, I definitely was in a way richer than I am now because we have debt and we have responsibilities and we have all the things. Um, I'm happier now. And I'm definitely working towards something, but it can be, so, I mean, we found out something that because we were late with our rent, because we are definitely running in a cash flow. Today, we finally got the good news we were waiting for, thank goodness. But we found out we were going to get locked out. Um, yeah, from like
They can't
literally.
lock you out in a lockdown.
Yeah, yeah, apparently you can. And it's
Oh,
so, yeah, it's crazy, but it was just because it was a big, anyway, the point is this is what everyone is dealing with. There are still people who are doing cutthroat business out there. With this whole GameStop thing,
I love that too.
I know it took me. I'm like, okay, wait. First of all, tell me, okay, what's a hedge fund? Okay, super. What the hell's Reddit? Okay, catch me up here. And I'm like, now I got to join. But I always wanted to play the stock market, and I'm like, but now I got to have a Twitter account. I got to talk to other people. But
Reddit and all the stuff.
yeah, but it's been great, and I've seen that, and an interesting pivot as we're talking pivots, as I think about is I'm not sure if you're familiar about the East Coast and the indigenous lobster trappers who were under racial fire. And so this stems back. The first time this was all happening was in 1997 when the first Supreme Court ruling came out about it, and all that was is people kept saying they're changing the rules for indigenous. No, that's not it. They're just upholding the treaties that are legally binding. And but there was guns and everything. And I remember in 1997, because I was sort of just going to university at the time, so it was that young woke person and like, yeah, screw the system. And so when this came up again, I said, like, are we back in 1997 like it was? So I don't know if you know how that all ended, but
I don't know how it ended. No,
it was the most beautiful thing in the world. So the indigenous groups got together and formed a corporation and bought out the employer of all the fishermen who were doing all the violence against them. So they used capitalism against the white people, because the problem is the ingrained fishermen who are causing all the issues were misinformed. They didn't understand, and now they're working for the people that they were, bombing and shooting at, and being so racial. And it is, and it's so. Justice, and that's how I feel this game trader thing is. It's like people are pivoting, and so when we think about pivot, sometimes it's like looking at righting some wrongs in society. And so I'm hoping at the end of this, some of these inequities, maybe the skip the dishes inequity, maybe how customers are treating staff. I don't know, but I'd like to see at the end of this some good, like basically lessons learned that can come from the pandemic in terms of where we all are in the world. Because for some people, this is the first time they've gone through hardship. For people like you and I, it's not. When I remember talking to Jason Patrinak. He has a podcast, and I did a thing, and he was talking. Can't we all just, all these people are. I forget what we were talking about, but I reminded him that like what's actually happening out there on the internet is people who have never had any freedoms restricted, who have never really gone through things, going through things. And yes, freedoms are important, but if a mask is the most, we're still fighting for clean drinking water up north, right? When they had the SARS, they sent body bags instead of vaccines. Like we are talking about from the indigenous or from the new entrepreneur, from racial angles, from gendered angles, and even from systemic, results of capitalism, welfare, cycles of poverty. So all these things are going on. The government has always tried to control people, but now you're paying attention. And when I tried to bring that up with people, a lot of people were like, I don't get it. Like literally didn't get the link between controlling indigenous people and how I hope they use this newfound knowledge to help other people who have been oppressed. And some people are getting it. So that's one of the things that I hope to see out of this in the whole pivot, that maybe the world could be a little bit more understanding of the struggles that some people go through. What would you like to see at the end of the pandemic besides our businesses saved? I hope you don't quit, because I think I need to see that the end is coming, and I need to see Karla succeed. It's important to me as my mentor and role model. But in the
I
end,
don't know. It's like at the end of the day, it's like what's more valuable, my peace of mind or a brand or like a restaurant. If it wasn't like if it was for me, my restaurant would be thriving. But it's not up to me, right? Like at this point, it's like my hands are tied because of the government. But what would I like to see? I would like to see more young people opening businesses and not being afraid of opening businesses. And I would like to see more businesses rallying together to work together as a collective, right? Because and I have seen it. I have seen it how the small business community has rallied together, like the restaurant community, like all of these different communities are actually rallying together, and they're not competing against each other. They're actually helping each other. They're giving each other, if like at the very basic, just some encouragement at the most, hey, like I found this program you can apply for. It's been really cool to see the level of collaboration that has happened. So I really hope that continues on, and that when hopefully this is all over, that we don't go back working in our own silos. That because as an entrepreneur, you get so ingrained in your business that you hardly ever look up
the operations, and again that cutthroat comes out.
Exactly. So I really wish that this collaborative and that this that this solidarity sticks, because it's so freaking cool knowing that if you have an issue, if you have a doubt, if you have that you can like reach out your hand and somebody's going to take it. And that's how I've been feeling that COVID has done for the small business community.
I've seen that
too.
I mean, you've been a good advocate for mental health, so much so that I reached out to you last week, obviously in the over drinking capacity. And I love what you said right away was, are you alone? Because you wanted to be sure I was taken care of. And I'm like, yeah, the family's upstairs. I thought like I was in my own weird, and I think everyone's had it. I've been on Facebook. Everyone's like, fuck it. Like because if you actually stop being busy and feel what's going on, and if you add any kind of depressant to it, it's not a good situation. And that's for the best of people, right? And that's like, so when anyone who's had some trauma or had some like when is the end? Like if I knew, okay, March 1st, everything goes back to normal, I can do 6 more weeks of this shit. Absolutely. But when people are talking 1 or 2 years, I'm not in the quit. I fought right now to get this business saved. I cannot believe we're here and we're in good things, and so many good things are coming. It's literally like my lawyer says. He says, well, you've got karma on your side, which is nice. I said, I don't know if karma is a business strategy, but right now it's working for me.
Holding on to that.
I certainly didn't use, any sort of traditional tactics. And so now, but that's how we learn, is through all these lessons. And so I hope people are watching this. And what happens is, so many people watch it, and then more people come back and watch it and then think it's live. And so they comment and then get upset that we didn't respond. So this was recorded 7 to 7:50 on the 29th of January. So please watch it. Throughout the thing, it says at the bottom, KarlaBriones.com, Freshii Westboro, and Global Pet Foods. I know we've been helping you guys out with a few deliveries here and there.
Oh, I have to say thank you so much, Sean. So I didn't see my husband for like weeks and weeks because he was doing deliveries. I mean, that's a good problem to have. But you guys have been like a blessing in our family dynamics. First of all, yeah, because I actually have someone to help me with the kids that doesn't just disappear to do deliveries. So you guys have been great marriage counseling that way.
And we help people get laid. It's what we do. We help people be good fathers. Yeah, that's what I meant.
And and it's been so seamless. The staff are happy. We're happy. Our customers are happy, and it's just being able to provide that added level of customer service, like white glove service through you guys. You get it. Kudos to you guys and your staff.
Well, thank you. Well, we love, because I always send with new customers, we send one of our like top staff, and usually Josh, right? And Josh, he messaged me after and he goes, oh my God, they're so organized. And he was so
Oh yeah.
happy. He's like, I sure, well, because I mean, it doesn't always happen, right? So he shows up. He's like, I just said what it was.
Everything.
They gave it like, so basically how the military, paramilitary response that we're kind of needing during COVID times. You guys get it. We get it. So we're like, customers, stay home.
Yeah.
Let us do your thing so it sells. And Barb said this. Go for it, Rox. Thank you. Thanks
Of
for
course
sharing.
they do.
Yeah. But so does all of your business. So I want to thank you for coming. I know it was a hard week, and this is hopefully a nice way to end it. I would love to share some wine with you when I'm going to be safe drinking. It was so funny when I gave good news to my friend in France, and I was like, this is, I'll tell you offline, this is great news, blah, blah, blah. He goes, excellent. He says, do not drink wine to celebrate. So
You're like, cheers.
it's that raw how it was, when you have a bad day when you're drinking. It's like when literally people in France are like, I sure hope Jenn doesn't have some wine tonight. It's time to stop. And it's time to, focus on the business, keep a clear head.
Just have sex.
So,
Just have sex.
well,
It's all good.
and all I'm doing right now is I started a book club. I'm doing, like I said, Sundays after Valentine's Day are mine, period. I've made that clear to the staff, and because we've gone 7 days straight for probably 3 months now.
I remember.
And we had to, right? Because we had no money. There's some really creative things we did to pay the staff. I was looking like, all right, who wants to sleep with Jenn for money? And it turns out nobody did. So I'm like, I guess we're going to have to keep selling deliveries. I am not a traditional CEO. People know that. So, and that's okay. So Karla, thank you so much for all you do for the business community, for the mental health, for all those things. Keep doing you. People reward her. Go like her page if you have had anything, any business from any of her businesses, go and write a review, because we keep forgetting to write the good reviews. But damn it, when we're upset about that milkshake at 2 a.m, right?
We sure know about it.
And so I think it's important to remember, if you did that one a day, they don't take long, one review for something that made you happy a day, you would make the life of a small business.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So, and keep pivoting, Parla. See, I didn't drink. Going, you at tutu, you and Marissa, and we're gonna make it through this. But thank you for inspiring me regularly, and hopefully we inspired some more people here. So, Miigwech, much love, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Also, floss. Okay. Bye.
Yes.